What's going on, Average Tech Guy here, and today we are back. More tech, more reviews, and today we are going to be looking at the phone that we have right here in front of us. This is the brand new Pixel 6a from Google, and every year Google releases an A device that's basically more of a budget device. So we're going to talk about this and see if it is a good budget device for you. So let's go. Okay, so every year Google releases a device such as this one, an A device that is basically a little bit more budget friendly than the device that came out the previous year. Like this. This is the 6 Pro, and this one right here is the 6A. So if you notice, just looking at them, the size difference is one of the biggest things that you are going to see. But when you're thinking about the A versus the Pro version of this device, one of the biggest things you are going to be looking at is price point and features. So this A device doesn't have all the features that the big boy has, but right now these devices are pretty much on the same price range. The 6A is going to come in at about $449, and the 6 starts out at about $500. So it's only about a $50 difference right now at this point. So one of the biggest things that I like to kind of go ahead and get out of the way are all these specs about this device. So here we go. So this device is going to come in at about $449. So it's not bad. It's nice and budget friendly. It has about a 4,400 milliamp hour battery, and this battery is pretty good. Like, I've had no issues with using this thing a full day. Also, when playing video games and doing like graphic heavy things, the battery doesn't heat up too much. You will notice a little bit of heat dissipation from that battery, but you get just a little bit of heat and nothing that's gonna really worry you. It has 128 gigabytes of storage with 8 gigs of RAM built in. It has a dual 12 megapixel camera on the back and then a single front camera as well. It has dual speakers, fingerprint scanner on the front, no headphone jack this go round. So that is one of the biggest differences from the other A models. The other A models have included a headphone jack, and this one has no headphone jack. So if you're still one of those people who don't trust Bluetooth and all that good stuff, because I know people that don't trust the Bluetooth, and you still like your headphone jack, with this device there is no headphone jack. And speaking of little functionality and feature type things, on the Pixel 6 Pro you could actually double tap to activate your camera. On this one there is no double tap to activate the camera. So those little features, those little nuanced things like wireless charging, things like that, that is what you are going to miss out on versus the Pro model or the regular 6 versus this one right here. Thing has a 60 hertz display on it, and it also runs Android 12, and it is going to be upgraded to Android 13 when the fall comes. So just keep that in mind. This thing is going to be future friendly for you guys who go out and pick up one. Now that we got that out of the way, because that is the numbers game that a lot of people like to talk about and see and hear, what population or what crowd of people is this thing going to fit? Well, in my experience, I personally am a power user, so I'm doing graphic heavy things pretty much all day. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, I'm editing photos, I'm editing videos, things of that nature. That is not going to be the phone for that person. The person who needs this phone is somebody who is interested in just making phone calls, sending text messages, checking email, browsing the internet a little bit, watching videos on YouTube, and also taking pictures and playing a few games. That is going to be the bulk of things that you are going to be able to accomplish with this Pixel 6a. Now, not saying that everybody can't go out and pick one of these up, but at the $449 price point, I think it has enough of everything for just about anybody. Now, the reason I'm saying that is because power users they're gonna go out and pick up the biggest boy of the bunch, the biggest, baddest phone that they can put their hands on, which this is one of them. This is Google's flagship. This is one of the biggest, baddest that you can put your hands on right now. And they're going to go out and get that one because they know what they have to do. But for the average consumer, the person who is not upgrading their phone every year, the person that's not really concerned with editing videos and photos and things like that, this is going to be the phone for them. Now, if you notice the nice glass backing, it's not even slippery. I thought it was going to be really slick in the hand when I first saw it, but it's not slippery, not slick. And there are actually different skins and cases that you can pick up for these already. So D Brand has a couple. I know Zugu Case has cases. Who else? Caseology, I think they have cases. So you can go by and pick up a case because you don't want to rock this thing naked, which I've just had this around the house, just using it. Feel, fit, and everything just really works. Even though I'm used to a bigger, larger form factor, this one holding it in my hands and using it, I've had no issues whatsoever. Now, a lot of the questions that I really got were, is this thing snappy? Can you play video games and not have any lag? Well, one of the biggest games I like to play is Asphalt. And Asphalt gives me great handles, great response every single time. I've had no issues while playing it. Everything always works. It's nice and responsive. It does heat up the battery a little bit after about 10 minutes of play, but I've played for about 20 minutes straight and I've had no issue. Now, I tell you this, when the graphics get really, really heavy during this game, sometimes it will just shut off and say that it had an error or whatever, and it's going to send that error to Google and all that good stuff. So you will get that message sometimes, but it only happened maybe 1 or 2 times out of a 20-minute period of playing, and that was like when we were crashing into each other and all the crazy stuff was happening. There's a chance that some of your higher graphic games, when they get to going, this may shut the game off just because it's not able to handle everything that is processing at this time. And one of the other questions I got was, is the 60 hertz screen noticeable? Now, one of the biggest things coming from a display that is 120 hertz refresh rate to a 60 hertz refresh rate, I can tell a difference. But for the average consumer, there will be no difference to be told. I can show it to my wife, I can show it to my kids, I can show it to my mom and dad. They will not know the difference. They will say this phone is nice, it's snappy, and the average person is going to say the exact same thing. So for the power user, the power consumer, and the person who upgrades their phones like every year, like myself, and for this platform, may I say, I will notice, but the average person won't. So we talked about who this thing is for. We talked about the specs, and we kind of talked about some of the things I like personally. But if you guys have any specific questions about this device, about anything, just drop the questions below. We'll get them answered. And if this requires a follow-up video, we'll do that as well. This has been about a week since I've had this device. I've enjoyed using it. And something that people don't really talk about on phones is call quality. Call quality is wonderful with this device. Video call, phone call, all that is great. That's why we buy. I think that's why we buy phones, is to actually talk on them. But nobody ever really talks about that feature. So call quality is great on here. Music sounds really good with the dual speakers on here. I have no issue. So one of the best things about using this device is its level of dictation. And as you notice on the screen right here as I'm talking, this thing picks up everything that I'm saying, and it's probably one of the most accurate dictation models that I've seen out there, period, point blank. It knows where to put the commas, it knows where to put the periods. It does everything that you need it to do, and it's just an all-around good device. So kudos to Google for putting some of the best dictation in this phone right here today. And not to mention, you do get one of the features that carried over from the Pixel 6 phones. You're going to get Magic Erasers. So when you're actually taking pictures and something's in the background that you don't want, you can actually just kind of magically erase it. Now, I know a lot of times you see this on the commercials and it makes it look just perfect, right? But it's not so simple in real life. It doesn't just come out that perfect every single time, but it's pretty close. So it's not perfect, but it's something that we can actually use, and I think a lot of people will be able to get use out of that. And it's just for if you want to move small things or little small objects. Not saying if you see a tree in the background, you want to take out that whole tree, you may have some issues at that point. But just a few small little details and things, it works really well. So this has been my little 1 week in review of the Pixel 6a. If you guys want one, I'm going to drop a link below so you can go by and check it out. But until next time, be sure and give me that big thumbs up and please subscribe. Average Tech Guy out. Peace.